Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Harry Potter and the Totally Normal Hangout. It's episode 2, and we are rereading Sorcerer's Stone, and this week we are talking chapters 6 through 10. So hopefully you've all gotten caught up despite the busyness of the end of the year. We're going to just introduce ourselves, talk about what we're sipping on during our session, and then answer a quick spell question of the week, which this week our question is, which Hogwarts house would your favorite Disney princess belong to? And we wanted to ask that since one of the chapters is the sorting hat, the sorting ceremony. So I will let the others think on the quick spell question and get to my introduction. I'm Lorena. I am having a Dogfish 60-minute IPA. And my favorite Disney princess is Mulan. And I definitely have put her into Gryffindor. I think she's both brave and chivalrous, which is a commonly forgotten trait of Gryffindor. But she wants to go and protect her dad while still, fighting for their country. And I think that's a very chivalrous thing for her to do. So that's mine. All right. How about you, Emily?
Hi, I'm Emily. I am drinking a clearly Canadian peach this evening. I went out and tried to find some fun beverages for our hangouts. So that's this evening's take. My favorite princess is it's a toss-up between Belle and Rapunzel, but I'm gonna say that both of them are Ravenclaws, and not just because I'm a Ravenclaw. I mean, Belle does have some Gryffindor traits in her, but I'm going to say they both just have, not just because of Belle's love of books and some other things, there's Rapunzel's love of the things that are artistic and creative, and some things I just see very much. They're just so Rapunzel or so Ravenclaw to me. So I'm sorting them both into Ravenclaw. So Jamie, what about you?
Hello, everyone. I am Jamie. I just have some mint tea tonight in my festive holiday candy cane mug. So that's not clearly Canadian, but it's North Polean, I guess, whatever. And my favorite Disney princess is Jasmine. And I think that she is very much a Slytherin because she knows what she wants and she is smart about how she goes about getting it. And I think it's in a very Slytherin type way. Like she wants to go out and see, more of Agrabah, more of the world. And so she sneaks out. And when she knows that Aladdin is just in disguise as a prince, she doesn't really say anything for a while. She kind of feels out the situation, and in the big climax of the movie, she tries to distract Jafar by trying to like seduce him, and I just feel like she's very, she has that smooth kind of way of getting what she wants.
Can we blinkers for just a second and say, have you seen Hot Jafar in the new
I have
Aladdin
seen
trailer?
Hot Jafar.
No.
Oh my God, you haven't seen him?
No, I think, Emily, you sent me him, but I didn't know. I haven't seen him in costume.
Oh, look in the TN in our private group, in the We're Obsessed Too group.
Okay.
I posted a picture of him in there, which anyone watching can join, by the way.
Yes, if you're not in there, listeners and watchers,
yes, come join us there. We share photos of Hot Jafar.
Yes,
you want to be a part of that.
Hot people who act in things we watch.
Yes.
So speaking of joining us, speaking of joining us, before we jump to the platform 9 3/4, I wanted to remind everyone this is live and we love audience participation. So if you want to answer a quick spell question, throw in your thoughts, hate on Draco, hate on Harry, hate on Snape, hate on Dumbledore, hate on Treacle Tarts, whatever, or love on all those things, we're good with that too. Follow us on the YouTube or the Twitter. I don't think we're monitoring Facebook tonight, so try to not be on there. And use the hashtag TNTalksHP if you're going to be on Twitter so we see it. If you're in the YouTube chat, obviously we will see you there. So awesome. Let's get to the platform and lots of confusion. But Emily has a comment.
Margaret agrees that Belle is a Ravenclaw with me. So her favorite princess is Belle, and also a Ravenclaw. So we agree. And Lara normally would be joining us, but she is sick and doesn't want to hack up along with us. But she also says Hot Jafar is way better looking than Jeannie Will Smith. So she's chimed in to let us know that. Yes. So,
and Zanib is not here either because she is away. But Zanib said she might also follow along. So if she does, she will be there as well because she can't be here.
So awesome. Now on to platform 9 3/4. Carry on.
Yes. So we are heading to King's Cross, and Vernon is dumping his nephew off with Delight to go get the pigtail removed from Dudley. Feels so long ago now that it's Halloween at the end of this. So let's dive in.
All right. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
So I have to say, like, when I first read this, it was 1997 for me. And I was leaving, I was living in New York City, and I was actually on a train leaving the city, taking the Long Island Railroad. So I was on a train leaving, and I remember getting off on my train stop, but still engrossed, literally nose in a book. And I got off on the platform and still reading because I heard my stop and I was like, okay, get off. I'm still reading and I'm standing and I'm there. And I shut the book and I looked around and I was like, did I get off on the right stop? Because I was so engrossed in the book. I was expecting to be in King's Cross Station. Like, that's like, I was so engrossed, and that's how well written, and that's the fond memory I have of this chapter, and that's how much I love this, and that's how well written I felt it was at that time, that I just adored how much I loved this. Because I looked around and it took me a really hot minute to go, okay, not reality, right train station, you can now go home, quit reading, and pull your head out of a book. But I just loved that part. And that's just, I still go back to that spot. And that's how I knew I had fallen in love with this book, is that I could not separate fiction from reality. And especially just being on the train and, getting that you're on the train and you have that, the kids are on the train and everything. And I just felt that connection with that. So I didn't know that. I bought them at the Times, at the Lincoln Center, Barnes and Noble. And I just have that whole memory of purchasing the first 3 books, and I tore through them. So, but this is the chapter that solidified that for me. So I just had to share that.
That is a beautiful and heartwarming story. And I'm going to take it in the exact opposite direction, because the first note I have is Percy is such a dick from the second we see him. What happened with Percy? I mean, I know with that many kids, they can't all be winners, I guess. There's bound to be at least one dud in there. But both of the Weasleys are so kind and are such a delight. What happened with Percy? Why?
I don't know. I feel like he's just proud to be a prefect, and he worked really hard to get it, and he's excited, and his family's excited for him. And we're kind of more seeing it through the others, you know, Fred and George's point of view, where they just have to make fun of him for it because they know they're never going to be coming prefects. You know, that's not their speed. And Ron's just too young to like even have, you know, he's just going along with what's popular. Ron is, I don't like Ron, but yeah, like at that time, it's just, I don't think we're seeing, like, if the books were written from Percy's point of view, it would just be totally different. I feel like you would sympathize with Percy more. Even though he makes very bad decisions later on.
Yeah, that's my thing. He's the worst. That's why he gets mixed up in all that ministry crap. He sides with the ministry when he should not. I do not remember him as much from the earlier books. So that's what, maybe it's because I know what he does later, that looking back on it now, I'm like, oh my God, he was always just such a dick. Look at him. Whereas before I got to that one.
He's a bit of a prat. Yeah. I mean, he's a rule follower, and like, that's it. You know, he can't not follow the rules, and that can get you into problems when the rules are made by, you know,
terrible people.
Yeah, exactly.
So how would that totally put him in Gryffindor?
I don't think it does.
Yeah.
I think he's a Slytherin for sure.
Interesting.
Right. Like, why is it that all the Weasleys just automatically end up in Gryffindor, especially Percy, who has a vastly different personality than any of his other siblings? That seems strange. It's not until like way later, I guess it's, well, I don't know. I don't remember what book it is, but when he's like, oh my God, I was so wrong to do all the things. Like, that's not a very Gryffindor thing to do. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think he's a Gryffindor.
No,
but
he does not seem a very good fit.
I do want to talk about his mom because, you know, you said it like his parents are totally different than him. And I just love Molly Weasley. I think she's one of my faves. And my favorite is that they have this line in this chapter where the twins are like, help Harry bring his trunk on, which was so nice. And then they're like, oh my God, that was Harry Potter. Like, Mom, you won't believe it. And Ginny's like, oh, I have to meet him. Oh my gosh, like, this is a huge deal. And he's like, we got to ask him. I'm going to ask him about his scar. And like, can he remember anything? And she is just like, absolutely not. Like, you will not ask him that, not on his first day of school. That must be why his parents weren't here. You know, she like figures it all out, and she's like, her heart just like grows. And I'm like, oh, you're such a mom in like the best mom way. And she's such a great, like, she's exactly what Harry needs, is like this nice protector.
It totally is. I wish they would have included, I mean, I know we're not comparing books to the movies, but I forgot completely that Fred and George met Harry first. Like, you know, found out who he was first on the train. You completely missed that little interaction. And it was really sweet seeing that on the, in that chapter, and I was just like, oh, that's just adorable. And you're just like, and they were just so excited to go share that with their mom. I thought that was just darling. So
another Weasley sibling that we see here is Ginny, and it occurred to me because everyone else leaves and she has to stay because she is not going to Hogwarts yet. So she's like, what, 10 this year? And so what do kids who have not gone to Hogwarts yet, like, are their parents entirely responsible for anything they may know until up in that point? Like, they have to know how to read. They not have to know how to do basic stuff like that. Like, and they don't have any schooling before that. So do their parents have to teach them that kind of stuff entirely on their own before they get to Hogwarts? That seems like a lot of time to go from the time you're born to 10 or to 11 to have no formal education of any kind.
Well, it sort of makes me think, and a lot of we discussed last time we met that it's very old timey. And I think as someone who is writing a fan fiction set in 1792 in the Wizarding world, I can tell you it's not actually old timey. It is 19th century specifically. It is Victorian era, very specific amount of like 70 years that are covered post Regency. Trains invented, and that's like 1820, I think. So it's after that all of the kind of old-timey feeling stuff is set. And what's happening then is a governess. You would have someone come to your house and teach your children how to do all the things they need to know how to do. And then if they were male, they would go forth to boarding school, essentially, and get, to Eton or whatever, Eton, I don't know how to pronounce it, where Tom Hiddleston went, and get their formal education at this stuffy school. So that to me is how I've always interpreted it. Obviously, the Weasleys are poor, so I think of them kind of like the Bennets in Pride and Prejudice, that they just don't have, they have too many kids and not enough money to formally educate them. So they're just teaching, like, okay, well, we'll teach you how to read, but we're not going to teach you how to calligraphy properly, to paint, magically, and all of these things. Whereas like Malfoy would have that opportunity, the Blacks, anyone who has money, I would think would have that, that governess type of private tutoring session. But yeah, it's weird to have 10-year-old kids like that, like just like homeschooled essentially without any kind of, how do they meet each other? Like, what is this their first time being around other children who aren't their family? The whole thing's weird. And you like think about Neville, once we meet Neville, and like his whole family is weird. Like there's not kids in his family. So it's just, I don't know. It's strange. It's a good, strange point to think on. But I didn't feel bad for Jenny, though. She's pretty annoying in this chapter.
Well, she's 10.
She's 10. Yeah, that's true. All right. So let's get on the train and start moving through London and out to Scotland, the mysterious Scotland.
I mean, I love that you see all the kids bringing their animals. You've got, the owls, the cat, Neville loses his toad, and Ron and that rat.
Ron has Scabbers. I was going to say, this is our first Scabbers sighting, and literally the first line to describe Scabbers is, Ron says, his name's Scabbers and he's useless. And I thought that was just such a nice introduction, because that's pretty accurate. I mean, Pettigrew was pretty useless. I mean, he was the worst. So even in rat form, he has decided to, because you would think ordinarily he would be smarter than other regular rats because he's like a human being. But no, he's phoning in being a rat. That's how much he sucks.
I mean, I don't recall, but I feel that being in Animangus form, it like takes a toll on you. Because I feel we learned that in Prisoner of Azkaban from Sirius, that it being a dog for that long would take its toll on him.
Right.
So I'm sure being a rat seriously takes its toll on you, because they're not smart. I mean, they're smart creatures, but they're not the smartest.
Right. So. Well, neither is he. He sucks. So yeah.
Yeah. What else we got?
So they start the trolley cart comes by, and we get our first look at all the wizarding candy. And I had forgotten, and I actually like, in the movie, Harry buys all of it. He buys the entire cart, and it's like, maybe someone else wants some candy, Harry. Like, I get that this is your, first taste of freedom or whatever, but maybe don't buy the whole thing. And so in the book, he actually just buys little bits of everything, which I thought was a much better move. But one of the things he gets is a chocolate frog, and I actually have a chocolate frog box. When my friend went to the Wizarding World for the first time before I had been, she brought me back a chocolate frog, and I kept the box because it's super pretty, and it's it's all golden and beautiful, and there's a card in it, and I got the Ravenclaw card. She doesn't look very happy to be in the card, but there she is. She was the most brilliant witch of her time, and her daughter is the ghost of Ravenclaw House, which, I mean, we knew all that. But,
I wonder if anybody else would have, like Salazar Slytherin or Helga Hufflepuff would have anything to say about that. The most brilliant witch of her time.
So. I know, right? Especially Hufflepuff. She founded a house too, and it's just like, oh yeah, she was there also. What?
Well,
we also have beans. I was going to say, you have the beans, Emily.
I have the beans. I have Bertie Bott's every flavor beans.
Are you going to try some for us?
I will try some. I'm afraid.
Have you had them before?
I have had a couple.
Okay.
I mean, they're done by Jelly Belly. We did some research. Jamie, you are vegetarian or vegan?
A vegetarian, although I do not like jelly beans. So I technically could eat them, but I would not because we
did some research.
Yes.
For our listeners, Jelly Belly holds the license, so they are vegan. Maybe they're vegetarian because there's beeswax. I don't know how people choose to do this. So I don't know. I'm gonna go with this green one. I'm gonna guess. You wrote down grass. So
I was gonna say, you would think it would be what is the point of these beans? Who, magical or muggle or whoever, who wants to eat a jelly bean that tastes like grass?
I mean, this one could be vomit, so I'm staying away from that one.
I think you should go with the green. I mean, it could be cilantro.
Ew, worse than grass. That's
bogey.
No, I think that might have been grass.
I was going to say, based on the face, that is not good.
Definitely not margarita.
No.
That was not good.
Canadian to the rescue.
Yes.
Something? I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. They're not even enjoyable. Like, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
You should.
It's like disgusting. Doesn't Willy Wonka have like all these different scents? That's like a scent factory or something. Am I thinking of? I think I'm thinking of Imagination at Epcot. Never mind.
Oh.
Similarly odd.
Oh.
Okay. Well,
I want to taste another one just to see if I can get something. Like, I mean, it shows the names of the flavors on the side,
but not the correlating
one.
I mean, there's earwax, earthworm, dirt.
Earthworm?
I know. I'm afraid. There's a blueberry. I could potentially try to get blueberry. Oh, that one I held up was vomit. I'm really glad I didn't. Oh, there's a soap. That one would be disgusting. I'm trying to avoid the soap
one.
Okay. I'm going to try for blueberry.
Okay. Good luck. It's another one of those things. Like I was saying last time.
There's not a blueberry in this thing.
They're like, oh, the stupid muggles, and they're eating earwax flavored candy. Like, joke's on you.
Right.
Wizards.
All right. Well, while Emily suffers, let's jump to chapter 7 and get us to the school. I know we got our first introduction to Hermione on the train. And I think it was a pretty good one. So that's technically in chapter 6 still. She's bossy. I think that's the first way they describe her. And, she's trying to help out Neville. But did you guys find her obnoxious, or do we just kind of like Hermione, so we were cool with our first intro to her?
I found her super annoying, actually. I mean, I love her later, but in this one, I was like, oh my God. Like, honestly, if I were a student going to Hogwarts, I would not like her at first. Like, she's one of those people, she is smart, but she needs everyone to know how smart she is. And it's, I don't know. That's like, I get why, and you know, she grows into it later on and she's fine, but just she's one of those, you know, very precocious children that I just find annoying personally. So
I get that I'm going to reference a fan fiction here, but I think that she has a good reason for wanting to be a know-it-all, because she
she
came into
does,
this
yeah.
not knowing anything. And I think she has to prove herself. And I think that she really feels at a disadvantage, and that she does not know anything and wants to prove that she belongs.
But
Because she already feels on the outside.
she's not the only muggle-born student there though. Like, I get that, but there are plenty of other people in the same boat as her who are not quite as obnoxious about it. I don't know.
Right. And even Harry, you know, obviously he's a pureblood, but he is, well, Tom thinks he's a half-blood, whatever. He is really a muggle raised kid, and he knows nothing. And I think in chapter 7, the Sorting Hat is like, you have a thirst to prove yourself. And that's like a very Slytherin. That's kind of where the Sorting Hat, which I'm attributing a gender to, really doesn't have one, does it? Wants to put Harry into Slytherin. And he's like, no, anything, you know, not Slytherin, because he's biased and doesn't want to be great. That's okay. You know, go to Gryffindor. But I like the hat, at least it sees this in him. I think that Hermione probably has the same emotions on that. She's just read and can remember facts a lot better than Harry. And I think she's just more intelligent than Harry overall. So
we got a couple of comments here on the YouTube that I wanted to bring up. First of all, Laura says the beans are just like the wizarding world. They can be sweet or awful. But Margaret says Harry is a half-blood. I question that. Is it, if a parent like Lily, who is born of Muggle parents, presents with magical abilities, are they, does that make him pureblood or half-blood?
I mean, I think that's one of those things where it depends on who you talk to. I would think that would make him pureblood because you have two magical parents. But if you are talking to someone who is more prejudiced about it, the fact that Lily is Muggle-born is going to count for something. So, I don't know.
yeah, like the pure blood, it has to be fully pure wizard blood forever.
Right.
All the way back. So
for some people, yeah.
That's why Hagrid is like, no one actually is.
Right.
Because literally everyone would be.
Right. It's such a small community. Yeah.
Yeah. So I always thought it was weird reading it when Tom Riddle is like, you're a half-blood like me, and I'm like, no, your dad was a muggle, like you're not the same, but cool way to be Voldemort, like
right. But someone who's that obsessed with blood purity, for them that would be like that. So yeah, I think that's one of those things that depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
But I had a question now, because you were talking about, you know, Harry doesn't want to be in Slytherin and all this kind of stuff. Does separating the kids this early on, the second they get in the door, send a weird message? Like, they already have this issue of otherness with, you know, some kids are Muggle-born, some kids are not, whatever. To just instantaneously split them up and they're competing against each other seems odd to me.
It kind of reminds me of summer camp where you would divide like by cabin or something. And then it to me, the point of the houses is more to control the kids behaviorally and give them something to work towards and a reason to behave.
Why not just randomly assign it if that's the reason why? You know what I mean? Like doing this based on ability and you're this kind of person and you're this kind of, I don't know.
Because the founders were assholes. I think that ultimately, you know, they were really egotistical people, including Helga. I'm not even going to count her out because she's part of it. Yeah. So, I mean, you find, like, I'm going to
look at this.
Found this school.
That woman is not a nice person.
That's brilliant witch.
Yes.
With a ghostly daughter. Yeah, I mean, they wanted to teach because they wanted to pass on their knowledge. Like the whole thing is ego from the start. So they imbue their magic into the hat. And that's how the hat decides. It's not like this.
Yeah.
It's from the beginning.
How are the other, I mean, we know Ilvermorny sorts because you have the Horned Serpent and Pudgewickie and Thunderbird, and I can't remember
something else. Yeah,
but I can't remember.
Wampus.
Yeah,
Wampus. Do we know about Durmstrang or Beaubaton?
No,
I don't know if we know.
Okay. I know we don't know because I've looked into it.
Okay, then we don't know.
Ilvermorny is the only school we have that kind of knowledge,
that info on,
pro or negative about. So they could sort at the other schools. We just don't know. Either way.
I think, like Lorena said, summer camp, you go into cabins, things like that. I think people are apt to self-select. And this is just a way to take that out and
to like control it better. Yeah, that makes sense. I do want to say we see Quirrell here, and he's sitting next to Snape up at the table after everyone's all sorted and eating. And last time I had mentioned that, when they see Quirrell in the Leaky Cauldron, Harry is inadvertently coming in contact with Voldemort. But reading this, I don't think he did. I think Quirrell does not get Voldemort on the back of his head until in between that time. I think it was in between the Leaky Cauldron and the first, and when Harry sees him again at Hogwarts, and I had not remembered that until now. Because I thought there was less time. So yeah,
it's like a whole month. I'm apt to agree because he has his mission. Like he breaks into Gringotts on July 31st, the same day, but he doesn't smell. And I feel like he would already smell weird.
What is that? What is the smell?
It's dead person.
It's dead soul. So awful.
It's unicorn blood. Terrible.
What is
unicorn blood? It's like the end of it's a half-life.
It's a half-life,
It smells of half-life, cursed life on his head.
That's disgusting. I saw that sentence in there that, they said it had a smell. And I was like, oh my God, he smells? That's horrifying.
That, he had to use fresh garlic to, mask it. It was so terrible. Stinky Voldemort.
And the other teacher we see is Snape. And we don't have to get into a whole Snape debate here because it will come up again later. But it occurred to me, why doesn't it bother more parents that Snape is a teacher at Hogwarts? Because everyone knows that he used to be a Death Eater. Right? And people lose it in book 3 when it's everyone finds out that Lupin is a werewolf and we don't want someone like that teaching their kids. But if we're going to use the real world analogies that always get used, and the Death Eaters are, the Nazis, would you really be okay with a known ex-Nazi teaching your kids at school? I don't know, where there are a lot of Muggle-born, witches and wizards I don't know. I would think people would have put up more of a fuss.
So I think when you've got a fourth of the school that were also former Death Eaters, I think they're just going to be like, no, we're cool with that. And
But what
then
about
you've
the other
got,
3/4?
well, you've got Dumbledore saying he vouches for them.
I know, that's not cool.
We've already discovered and discussed that we are so annoyed with Dumbledore's
But that's
decision making.
because, like, in the second book, we find out there's a whole, like, board of governors, and, like, you know, we know Lucius Malfoy is on it, so obviously he's gonna be, like, pro-Snape, but, like, there is some sort of governing body, and there are, you know, parents are gonna have an I don't know, I would just think that a lot more parents would have a much bigger problem with Snape being a teacher.
So Lara says if she had to deal with her kid until he was 11, she'd be lenient on Snape as well.
Okay. That's where is he in your photo book? You showed him earlier before we came on. He's not a nice looking guy.
Hang on one second. The potions master.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to get this without a glare. Is that there? Can we see him okay?
I mean, yeah, like he's very ghoulish and awful looking. Yeah.
He's a little creepy and like
Yeah.
this really long beaky nose. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Evil will age you like that. That's
yeah.
All right. I want to make one more note from the welcome feast.
Yes.
Before we get to
Do we want to
Snape.
talk about the sorting hat really quick?
The image, yeah.
The sorting hat. Can we see that?
That looks like a terrible craft project. It's like an old lady quilt in hat form. That's terrible.
Yeah.
But it sort of looks like the crest a little bit.
Okay. I can see it.
So one thing they don't do in the films, but they do in the books, and I just love, is when they close out the feast and they have to sing the Hogwarts school song. And it's just like the words come up, and so everyone can sing along, but they're all allowed to sing to different tune. And I just think that's hilarious. Like
I had forgotten about that.
Such a like Hogwarts thing to do. So that I really loved that, and I wish. I mean, I understand why it's not in the movies, but I wish it was.
Right.
It's hilarious. Okay. So let's jump to chapter 8. Pretty much everyone just falls asleep after that. And I think chapter 8 might be
the first potion lesson. So
no, is it there it is, yeah. Okay. So it's when we meet well, it's really like talking about, you know, what it's like to get around at Hogwarts, which seems really difficult.
Yeah.
And then we get kind of our first true introduction to Peeves, or mentioning of Peeves.
That's one of the biggest losses in the movie for me. Like, I understand why they didn't do it because, you know, it's a whole one more big thing to keep track of. But I did like that is in its entirety, that was one of the biggest losses. You know, and that for people who only watched the movies and didn't read the books, that like, you know, they didn't get to have that little bit.
Yeah, he's a great additional character. So I mean, there's so much that goes on there that you just see as you go further and further in the books how much he would have just added to the books or added to the movies. Then you're just like, oh.
So we also meet Mrs. Norris in this chapter, and I think I feel like Mrs. Norris sort of has an animagus.
I was going to say, wasn't there a theory for a while? I feel like it was a fan theory for a while that Mrs. Norris was an animagus because she seemed so smart, and you know, she always, you know, knew when students were doing something they shouldn't be, and she would go to get Filch.
Right. But as we said about Peter Pettigrew,
right,
monster in for a while,
right.
You know, which maybe says something about cats since McGonagall is a cat. Not that I like cats, but.
Right. But it could have been. And I think, was this also our first introduction to Fang?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they go to Hagrid's hut after
Right.
potions. And then that's when they learn, that's when he sees the newspaper clipping and figures out that someone was trying to steal that package right after they were there. So that kind of is the piqued interest of Harry moment to drive the plot forward.
Which I have to say, that's one of those things that the young Gryffindors do kind of irritate me a little bit because, like, you know, they see this and they're like, oh, we have to figure out what happened. Like, Dumbledore is not going to be keeping track of this situation. Like, you are 11 years old. What, like, I don't know. It's just, it's a very Gryffindor-y kind of thing to be like, we have to get to the bottom of it. We have to do with it. Like, people are on it. Go do your homework.
My 11-year-old nephew is more like Dudley and would rather be playing video games than figuring out who broke into a vault.
Right. They're like, you know, they're the only ones who were going to be able to put these clues together and stuff. Like, come on, guys. I don't know.
Yeah, there is. I find them annoying, and I think it continues into the next book of that.
Does.
Like,
I am very much
scrappy team coming together to do
because,
some impossible task for literally no reason at all.
Right.
Like,
because, like, even in the Halloween chapter, which we'll get to in a little bit, like, you know, they know Hermione's in the bathroom. So it's like, oh, what are we going to do? What you're going to do is tell Percy or tell a teacher, hey, Hermione's in the bathroom. What are you sneaking away on your own for? What are you guys going to do? You're 11 years old. You are prepubescent. What are you going to do against a troll?
3 months ago, Harry, you didn't know trolls were a real thing.
He knew nothing when he walked in the door. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, here's this dangerous magical creature. We'll take care of it. I don't know.
So I think they did not think the troll would physically be in the bathroom, but they wanted to warn her, and they didn't want her to get in trouble, I guess. I don't know. It was like too bow-tied for me to, you know, just like use their insecurities for the reason that they don't tell anyone. Stupid. But none of us are Gryffindors, so if we had Zaneeb,
we don't care. I know. Maybe Zaneeb could
shed some light here.
There will be many other occasions where Gryffindors are, you know, participating in some sort of nonsense. So,
all right.
Do we want to talk about Snape and the potions lesson? Because
let's talk about Snape quick.
Yes.
I don't want to dwell on him because I like the flying scene more, and I want to get to it. But let's jump into Snape.
Mm-hmm.
You have feelings, I can tell. So
I do have. None of us like Snape, so it's probably a little bit one-sided that we don't have someone else here who's like, oh, but they have this scene in the movie where Alan Rickman is very, you know, he does the whole speech, which is pretty similar to what is in the book, but there's more in the book that I had forgotten about, and he is just instantaneously, he is such an aggressive asshole about it. And I don't care what his Patronus is. It can be, you know, always all you want. He is awful because if he loved Lily as much as he thinks he does, he would not be treating her child, the child that she threw her body in front of to save, like trash. I don't know.
Yeah, and I get he wants to like put him in his place, but he didn't do anything to get put in his place. Right. And then later, when in the line is like, Harry's like, this is too unfair for me to not stand up for myself, which, like, by the way, he did not do when he was under the Dursleys.
Right.
Like, Ron kicks him and is like, no, this dude's an asshole. Everyone knows it. Don't push it. Like, just be quiet and get through this 2-hour block, you know? It'll be fine.
He's totally abusive as a teacher. And, you know, when we talk about how is he allowed to teach there, not you know, based on him being a former Nazi, just
Right.
yes, he may have the credentials to teach, but his, you know, can he manage a classroom? Is he able to, does he have a rapport with the students? Um, my real daytime job is I work for an education law firm, and he would probably have charges brought against him for certain
Mhm.
things that, you know, what could they bring him up on charges? I'm going to talk to a labor and employment attorney and see what find out who's a Harry Potter fan. What can we bring the charges
There
against?
you go. Yeah, just like
Emily has
slide them a list
a
of just
new
these
fan
qualities.
Snape in real life,
Right.
current
Because
day.
it's like, poor
What
Neville
could we bring
gets
against him?
like poor Neville gets the boils all over him, and he's just like, oh, whatever, blah blah blah. Like
Yeah,
you
he's like,
should
you're
do
an
this person.
idiot.
Right.
Like, Neville's 11.
Right.
And his parents were tortured until they went insane
Right.
by someone you ran with.
Right.
So maybe don't be such a dick.
I
Like,
know.
Right.
He's just like this awful, bitter, immature person, and I hate him.
immature. That's to me, that's the real kicker.
Margaret says Snape is crazy, and Laura 100% agrees with Jamie. So,
Okay.
And I just want to remind everyone, I am a Slytherin. So if anyone here was going to like Snape, it was going to be me.
Right. If he was going to have any defender, it's going to be
I
you.
don't support abusive people.
No.
At all. So,
No.
All right, let's get our brooms and meet some Madame Hooch. And I loved that Neville and Hermione were both like, this is the worst, and I'm so scared.
I would be so scared to fly. I
would be excited.
The other day, see, I would not. I am petrified of heights. So that I would be hovering, you know, like 6 inches above the ground. But it says it in, we'll have to get it one of these episodes. In Quidditch Through the Ages, I think they talk about in certain countries, they still, I don't know if they still, but they at least for a while, they would use carpets instead of brooms. And I would be all about what?
I think it's over on my shelf.
I have it over on my shelf, but it's all the way over there. There'll be plenty more Quidditch. We can get it. Okay. And I was like, because I take a yoga class, and when I'm in there right before it starts and I'm like sitting on my mat, I'm like, I could do this. That would be okay. I still couldn't maybe go very high, but I would be all about, I feel like that would be like the hipster wizard thing, to use a carpet instead of a broom.
Well, Jasmine is your favorite princess.
That's right.
So
it all fits.
It's coming together. I think there's a ban on magic carpets we learn about in a later book.
Is it a ban? Okay.
Yeah, that the Arthur has to deal with.
Which seems terrible. Why are carpets banned? That seems like, you know, they're just
economic racism. I don't know.
I was going to say, yeah, that seems like a dumb thing to regulate just because.
It's not a snitch, you know.
But anyway, yeah, I don't know if it's because I know I would never like to fly, but the Quidditch and the flying scenes for me are always a little like, eh.
What about you, Emily? Would you want to fly?
I would totally fly, but I would probably be like Hermione, trying to learn as much as I could from the book. And I did, because I had just read this, I was like, you have to have some practical application. There's only so much you can learn from a book. You can't do this. And I actually used it in a meeting this week. It's like flying. You can't. And I was like, okay, problem when you're starting to quote Harry Potter.
Right. You could have gone with driving a car for that one, but
I used
riding a bike.
Went to flying. That's how you know. True Harry Potter fan right there. Like, you know, when you're trying to practice flying on a broom, how difficult it can be at first.
This is how come they gave me Harry Potter socks at work. So
that's right. So it's worth it.
It's worth it. They know me.
Yeah.
They're like, of course she goes for flying on a broom.
So. All right. So I thought Oliver Wood was a 7th year, and he's a 5th year in the book. So did you guys forget how old Wood is? And
well,
I enjoy that they just call him by his surname.
Right.
Because I do.
I know he's at least in the first 2. Is he in Prisoner of Azkaban? But anyway, I know he's at least in the first two, so I knew he could not be a seventh year in the first book, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just.
There was a guy on BuzzFeed who had not seen the movies, and so he watched them all and live tweeted them, and so his hashtag was wood for wood.
I remember that, yes.
And and he was
he's really hot in the films.
Yes, he's a cutie.
Yeah, so he was like, oh, we're having some wood for wood. This is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I will take up flying just for this. Spend more time with wood? Absolutely. So,
we also learned the rules of Quidditch, which I know J.K. Rowling gets a little bent out of shape when people come at her about this, but I still think it's valid. The snitch is worth way too many points. Like, it just doesn't make sense why anyone would concentrate on anything else except just getting the snitch as quickly as possible, because it's worth so many.
I think only the seeker can catch it for it to be valid.
But I'm saying, like, essentially all you're doing is like biding your time until one of the seekers does it. Because if the other team is so many points ahead that you catching the snitch would end the game, but you wouldn't win, like, you just wait it out.
Victor Crumb did not wait it out.
Well, he's a dumbass, but
no, he was tired of playing.
Well, okay, then don't be a professional athlete. Like, I'm saying that's stupid. Like, if you're right, like situations like that, I feel would be so rare, because why would you do that? Why would you catch it to end the game if your team is not going to win? I don't know. I just feel
because if they kept scoring, like if your team was so bad at being a chaser, with the quaffle, that their team scored like this and you were just losing so badly you couldn't catch up and you knew it, why wouldn't you just end the game so you didn't have to, especially if points differential counts? And I would have to know that. This is getting into like some Premier League action here, but yeah, if points differential matters, then you would want to actually close it out as quickly as you could before they scored too many points, even if you were going to lose. So instead of losing by 100 points, you lost by 10.
Maybe I just don't know enough about most sports for this to make sense to me. I watch figure skating. That's it.
Knew what West Ham was when I read that chapter on Dean. It's I can see her point, and I will defend J.K. Rowling in this.
Okay.
Though I do feel like it's like a weird combination of football and cricket, because cricket matches can go on forever. And
speaking of, this is one of those things that I do not understand, because Oliver is teaching the rules to Harry, and Harry says something like, "Oh, it sounds kind of like basketball," and Oliver is like, "What's basketball?" He has never heard of it. But then he's practicing with Harry, so he can try and get the feel for catching the snitch. And it says he uses golf balls. So why has he never heard of basketball?
Golf,
he has golf balls.
A Scottish sport. So that.
But what?
But he doesn't call them golf balls. He could just think of them as balls that are the same size as
it says they're golf balls in the book, though.
Because the book's written from Harry's point of view. Oliver doesn't say, "I got these golf balls we're going to use." He picks balls out of his pocket, and Harry's like, he picked out normal golf balls and threw them around.
But I don't know. I feel like he would say golf-sized balls if they were about the same size but looked different. But I would think they are literal golf balls, because Harry would know what they look like.
Right, but that doesn't mean Oliver would know what golf or.
But I'm saying, but where did they come from then?
Someone bought them.
But who? My point along somewhere.
McGonagall.
But I'm saying then McGonagall would have. I don't know. It just seems weird about what they know about the Muggle world and they don't. Like, whoever bought these golf balls at some point had to know. I don't know.
I think it's an overthink here, and that she wanted to push her golf heritage, being Scottish, into it. personally, but
really quickly. So Laura has a fan theory.
Yes.
That a snitch actually is a fairy trapped inside, like cursed to be.
She hasn't. Laura, I love you, but I don't think you've read the book where it explains why they use the golden snitch and what it used to be. They used to actually use a thing called a snitch, and then they became endangered because they kept getting killed in
Oh, that's
Quidditch.
right. Yeah. It was like a little, like creature or...
Yeah. Maybe a fairy-like creature.
Yeah.
Maybe a fairy-like
Your
creature.
fan theory could be close to reality. But yeah, no, it's explained what they initially used.
What they initially used. There we go. Yeah. I'm pulled out the British version of the book to see if it brings up basketball.
Okay.
I thought the same thing. Laura wants to defend. It says so they replace them with fairies.
Okay, Laura. Okay. Yeah, it says basketball. I only have the British version, so
and so it says basketball.
But they play basketball, in England.
Yep. Okay. Okay. Well done. Okay, carrying on. We are almost at the 1 hour mark, so we should.
All right. In chapter 9, which I think is that what we are on. But anyway, they have this whole midnight duel thing, and I did not remember a word of that. Not a single word. Like, it's in the book, it's just, I think, Harry and Hermione and Ron are running away from Filch, and they go in, and that's where they see Fluffy on the trapdoor. But in this one, there's the whole thing. Malfoy challenges him to a duel. Ron's like, "Oh, I'll be the second." Like, and all these people get involved, and then Neville is there.
And I'm like, wait, I remember Neville sleeping outside of the thing. I was like, oh wait, I do recall this, but suddenly Neville is with them. They're all on this trek together, because I don't remember what got them out of the common room in the first place. And suddenly they are now all out of bed after curfew. And I was like, okay, wait, the midnight duel, now everybody's here? What's happening?
Well, Hermione goes after him, and then the portal closes, and the fat lady is out and about, so she can't get back in. And then Neville's out, like, got locked out, couldn't remember the password, so he just, like, fell asleep in the hall, like, it literally outside of the common room because he was tired. It's like it's like 11:30.
I had no recollection of this happening whatsoever.
About it. But I love how it really develops Malfoy as a character, and I think that to me is the best part of it. That Hermione knew he is tricking you to get you in trouble, but she couldn't, like, express it until it happened. Like, she was just like, you're being really selfish. Like, this is terrible. You suck. Mm-hmm. And then, like, later she's like, he was tricking you. I was right all along. Like, well, why didn't you say that at the beginning? Like, everything that could have been avoided if people said what they were thinking when they thought it and not 30 minutes later. But I did love from that scene that we really got to see Peeves is just, like, loves bothering people, but he doesn't, like, actually want to get anyone in trouble.
No, he's just like a shit disturber. He just,
He's like, and he's just like, I'll say nothing until you say please, or I won't say nothing until you say please. And then he says please, and he's like, nothing, ha ha ha. Just like, you're the best. Peeves. The worst, best poltergeist. Okay.
Indeed.
So we are at our hour mark. We haven't gotten to the troll in the dungeon yet.
Halloween, yeah. This is one of those things. I think what they did in the movie was much more fun. Because in the book, it's what, like, Quirrell kind of runs in and he just, like, goes up to Dumbledore and, like, collapses near him and just, like, gasps it out. There's a troll, and screaming it out as you run in to the Great Hall is so much better. I mean, it's more cinematic. That's why they did it in the movie. But I like it so much better.
Totally agree. Because thought you should know collapse.
Right. And then collapses.
So much better.
And there is a line in this chapter when they are fighting the troll that literally sums up Harry's entire experience throughout this entire series. It says, Harry then did something that was very brave and very stupid. Which that is him always. That is my constant thought with Harry. It's like, yes, technically what you're doing, it's very, heroic but this is so dumb. It's so dumb to be doing this. And so even then, even as 11, it was starting all the way back then.
Yeah, he never was a Slytherin.
No,
a Slytherin would never have that next to their name.
There's a self-preservation to Slytherins.
Yes.
Exactly. All right. I think we have covered a lot. I mean, we actually talked about chapter 10 kind of before we talked about chapter 9. So we got too excited by Oliver Wood, I guess.
Yes, dreamed up.
Do you guys have any other thoughts, themes, feelings, needs to share?
Do you know the broom for Harry really quickly? I don't remember that McGonagall was the one who got him the broom, because in the movie, you never find out who it's from.
Yeah, it's from McGonagall in the movie.
Yeah, it's kind of alluded to.
She gives a little knowing look.
A little nod. Yeah.
But I mean, like, when you see the note where it's like, don't open it at the table and everything, and you're like, I'm like, oh, okay, I don't recall this at all. And then you also have that the next morning where, so it's don't open the parcel at the table. It contains your thing. And Malfoy's like, could not believe his eyes when Potter was still there, and was just, and Filch was like, not Filch, Flitwick was like, yes, because Malfoy was trying to get him in trouble, and he's like, yes, I've just been informed of the special circumstances.
Right.
Malfoy was just seething, like, what is this? Why is this happening to me? Because Malfoy was going to be big man on campus. He knew he was going to be big man on campus.
Right.
And then Potter comes to town.
Right.
Yeah. Celebrity isn't everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do feel a little bad for Draco in that moment. But he kind of deserved it because he was a dick. So
I just really want to say, no, this is going to be dorky. The things that a teacher can be brought up for in California: immoral conduct, evident unfitness, willful refusal to perform regular assignments, unprofessional conduct, unsatisfactory performance, and persistent violation or refusal to obey laws and rules. I'm sorry.
I mean, literally all of those things.
Yeah. Snape is literally all of those things. He could be
he gives his assignments are fine. That one he fits. I thought he was only one of those things. And he's actually described as being able to command a classroom in the same way that McGonagall can.
Because everyone's terrified of him.
And her.
No, but it's because they respect her and they know she means business. Like,
she threatens to throw them out of the school if they don't follow her rules. I mean, she literally does more than one time. So I don't know. I think you're being too lenient on McGonagall from a teacher perspective.
I don't think
from
so,
a decent human being perspective, that's another conversation. But if I were gonna, I think it would be hard to take Snape to court in California, personally.
I don't. I'd do it. If they need, the Wizarding World needs more lawyers. You've been
going up against Lucius Malfoy, so I hope you have a lot of money.
I take him down.
Okay. No one does in the books, so good luck.
He goes to Azkaban. So
and then he gets out, and he's out for good. So he loses a war, and he still lives. It's because they don't have lawyers.
Yeah.
They kind of don't, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of don't. Well, you guys, I think we've exhausted chapters 6 through 10. We will discuss what is our next chapters, 11 through 17. That's
17. It's going to finish it. It's the rest of the book. Yeah. I forget how much shorter these early ones are.
I know. So we'll come back at you in the new year. We'll hit you up with a time and date. It will be a Thursday night, but just check out the That's Normal Facebook group, and we'll let you know when that is. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Yes.
Until the new year.
Yes. Happy New Year, everyone.
Holidays. Happy
Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
I know. I love that they say that.